Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbaloye in Abuja. Everyone, let's begin, shall we? We'll kick off tonight by telling you about the Buhari government's promise to the nation. The federal government says the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is not and will not be a threat to the media. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, gave the reassurance when a delegation from the International Press Institute, IPN, Nigeria chapter, paid him a courtesy visit in Abuja. Take a listen to the promise made by the minister.
I remember saying at the opening of the 2016 IPI World Congress in Qatar that the government of the day in Nigeria is not a threat to the media. And that is not about to change. And that it is not about to stifle press freedom or deny anyone his or her constitutionally guaranteed rights. That statement remains true today as it was then. I even told the Congress that the Nigerian media have no reason to fear the government, and that if anything, it is the government that is at the mercy of the media. That too remains true today. After all, this may be one of the very few countries in the world where a section of the media can refuse to recognize popular sovereignty. Or how else does one explain a situation in which a president who was duly elected by millions of Nigeria is willfully stripped of that title, president, and then cheekily cloaked in the garb of a dictator by playing up his military title? Despite that abuse of press freedom, those doing that have continued to practice their profession without hindrance.
That is the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed. Tonight, our attention will be on the two major political parties in Nigeria. And first, we begin with one of the front runners in the race for the PDP ticket. And when we switch over to the other side, we look at the internal struggle and the jostle for the APC ticket and what has become a major issue since Professor Yemi Osinbajo officially threw his hat in the ring. Tonight promises to be yet an interesting conversation that we'll be having on the program. But before we get started on the conversations, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The new national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, has resigned his position as a senator representing Nasarawa West in the 9th Assembly. His resignation is contained in a letter to the upper chamber and read by Senate President Ahmed Lawan during Tuesday's legislative proceedings. Senator Adamu explains that his resignation is on account as his new position of APC chairman. The former Nasarawa State governor emerged as chairman of the ruling party via a consensus during the party's national convention that held in March. In the same vein, Senator Abubakar Kyari has also resigned his position as a senator representing Borno North. In a letter also to the Senate, he says this is on account of his new position of deputy national chairman of the APC. The grandson of the first Republic Minister of Finance, Festus Okotie-Eboh, Tola Emmanuel Awoshika, has declared to run for the Senate in 2023 to represent Ondo Central Senatorial District. Awoshika made his declaration at the Secretariat of the All Progressives Congress in Ondo City, headquarters of Ondo West Local Government Area of Ondo State. The political aspiration of Tola Awoshika is a typical reality of not too young to run, as he is less than 40 years of age. Large crowd of APC party leaders and supporters gathering to hear what the aspirant has to say. Awoshika is being given moral support by his father, mother and wife who are physically present here. Addressing the crowd, Awoshika informs them that he is going into politics to move Nigeria forward. He promises not to let the people down.
My decision to come into mainstream politics is driven by passion and drive to change the narrative in our country.
Governor Umaru Fintiri has formally accepted to offer himself to contest for a second term in office in the 2023 general elections. The governor's declaration came barely days after some groups in Adamawa presented him with the People's Democratic Party governorship nomination form. He made the declaration during the swearing-in ceremony of the newly elected council chairman in Yola, the Adamawa state capital. According to the governor, his decision to recontest is to enable him continue and consolidate on the achievements so far recorded in physical infrastructure, security and other sectors. Some politicians, including a former Minister of Health, used the occasion to declare they're dumping the APC for the PDP.
In Adamawa State, at the national level, now more than ever before, the mood of the nation is clear. Nigeria have realized their mistake and are ready to correct them in 2023 election.
10 governorship aspirants of the All Progressives Congress in Rivers State have resolved to pursue their campaigns for the party's ticket in a civil manner to encourage unity among party members. The progressive aspirants also advised their supporters to cease from casting aspersions on opposing contenders, especially on social media, because they share a collective interest to salvage Rivers State from alleged maladministration. These decisions, including their position on the zoning of the Rivers governorship position, are part of resolutions reached during their meeting in Port Harcourt on Monday.
A simple call to our followers, people that are individual structures of the 10 of us, that please don't fight among yourselves.
The former governor of Anambra State, Mr. Peter Obi, has furthered his presidential ambition with more consultations. The presidential aspirant today met with leaders of his party, the PDP, at the home of the national vice chairman of the party, Chief Bode George, in Lagos State, to solicit their support ahead of the party's national convention. Mr. Obi made reference to his achievements in the various positions he served, both in public and private sectors, as good antecedents that qualify him to salvage the country from decay and collapse. Expressing confidence in the ability of the presidential aspirant, Chief Bode George said the party owes the public the affirmation that the presidential ticket is zoned to the south. Other than that, according to him, would be chaotic.
Remember when APC came, they said we don't believe in APC, we don't believe in zoning. Who has done all their zoning now?
Now, presidential aspirant of the African Democratic Party, Mr. Mani Ibrahim, says his major aim is to turn around the fortunes of Nigeria towards sustainable development and make it one of the best technologically driven economy in the world if voted to power. He was speaking during the declaration of his presidential ambition at the party's headquarters in Abuja. He notes that his administration will improve on the education system in the country, as he will take decisive action against insurgency in the country to secure life and property.
There will be a single exchange rate in this country because of the enormous disadvantages that we have seen.
The zoning and consensus arrangement in selecting candidates to fly the flag of the political parties has been described as one of the transparent means of choosing representatives without rancor. The Kwara State chapter of the PDP is using this method to choose its aspirants for the next general election in the state, which include governorship, members of the National and State Assembly. As the deadline is set for the submission of names of candidates for various political parties draws nearer, the Kwara State chapter of the PDP has resolved to use zoning and consensus to choose those who will fly the flag of the party in the next election. The state chairman of the party believes zoning the governorship ticket to Kwara North is in the best interest and justice for the zone. The Kwara South zone of the party is towing the same line as it is adopting consensus arrangement for National Assembly and State Assembly posts. Chieftain of the party, those aggrieved by the decision of the party are being called to put the interests of the party first, as no imposition took place but collective interests were taken into consideration while arriving at the decision.
The Kwara South senatorial leadership of the PDP accepts full responsibility of all the candidates that have so far emerged.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Now, the northern PDP aspirants today, that is of the PDP, today continued their consultations and they visited the governors of Abia and Enugu State. At their visit to the Enugu State Governor, Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi was short and precise in his presentation, and he asked for three things. It was a short speech. Take a listen to him.
I'd like to say this. I welcome consensus based on justice, equity, and fairness. Thank you, and God bless.
equity, justice, and fairness. That was the request of Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi when he met with Bukola Saraki, Aminu Tambuwal, Bala Muhammad, and Mr. Ayatudin. Well, this has been one of the debates as a contest for the PDP ticket thickens. Tonight, we shall be talking about the issues that will define the race, especially as the different political parties, the 18 of them, are now looking forward to pick the flag bearer that will go into the arena come next year, February, and those who want to be Nigeria's #1 citizen. Tonight, I'm being joined by a foremost Nigerian journalist and publisher who has been with the Concord newspaper several years ago and later on started his own business, Ovation International. He once contested for the president of Nigeria in 2011, and now he's one of the aspirants in contest for the ticket of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Chief Dele Momodu. He joins us from our Lagos studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Momodu, for joining us tonight on the program. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Sheung. It's always good to be on your program.
Thank you. Let's begin the conversation from your reservations. Today, I understand that you submitted your form. And you spoke about what the cost of the form will do to the ambition of young people who have the capacity and who are yearning to lead this country. Give us an insight into what you meant in that statement.
Well, I mean, an average Nigerian today will tell you that they want fresh people in government. They want younger people in government. They want self-accomplished people in government. They want well-educated people in government. They want people who have not looted the treasury in government. So, if you ask a presidential aspirant who is young, who is self-accomplished, who is doing his own business, and so on and so forth, to part with 40 million naira, today, in today's Nigeria, you are going to disqualify, you are going to eliminate a lot of such people. And that is why I spoke up about it today. A lot of people are always afraid of speaking up in our country. We accept whatever they tell us to do without questioning. So, but I just wanted to raise it so that next time around, my party, PDP, will be more careful not to eliminate the best materials in Nigeria. Today, if you look at the political parties, it has suddenly become a contest of money bags and not a contest of ideas. Nigeria has degenerated, has deteriorated to the days when we had ideologues, when we had the Awolowos, the Azikiwes, intellectuals, who will come to the table to discuss robust ideas. Today, contestants, aspirants are boasting openly about how much they have ready to fight the battle. Today, maybe 2 or 3 of us in the party, my humble self, former Anambra State Governor, Mr. Peter Obi, and maybe Mazi Ohambua, are amongst the modest, the humble aspirants. And we're speaking up that this is dangerous for our democracy when it's all about money. I've met some of our friends who said, no, some people are already confirmed. Nobody can beat them because if somebody pays $5,000 per delegate, some people are going to pay $10,000 per delegate. To me, this is very dangerous. This is not the democracy that some of us worked for. A lot of people died for this democracy. A lot of people lost everything they ever worked for. Some of us were in detention. Some of us had to live in exile for years, and we lost everything we left back home in Nigeria. Today, the politicians have hijacked everything. Nobody is talking about insecurity. Nobody is talking about our economy. Nobody is talking about mass unemployment. Nobody is talking about ASU. Nobody is talking about poor medicals. Nobody is talking about our infrastructure decay. It is scary. And this is why we must all speak up.
I think it's a good place to come in now,
that our elders in Nigeria and the owners of Nigeria would intervene and make sure that we get very serious.
How you think that God wants you to come into the race for a certain reason. And you spoke about you being born and the year Nigeria got independence. You were just born a few months before October. And you spoke about your journey and how you've gone this far for a certain purpose. But you've spoken tonight again about the issue of the money back. Do you feel threatened, and do you perhaps feel that the stage is not even for the contestants?
Definitely the stage is not even, but I'm not threatened. I've gone this route before. In 2011, I contested on the platform of National Conscience Party. And I remember the night before our primaries, some people came to me and said, oh, my co-contestants were going from room to room. I had sent 2 copies of Ovation magazine to the delegates to look at so that they can see what I do for a living. And that is what Mr. Peter Obi was talking about this morning on a different program. That he looked at where Dele Momodu was 25, 26 years ago, and he went back to look at his own books to see where he was. You must be able to ask questions about where people are getting money from. It's not about being threatened. I won my election because most of the delegates, by the time they looked at my resume, they looked at my accomplishments, they looked at my global status, they said, no, we're not going to allow our party to go down because of money. It is the same appeal I'm making to the leaders, the elders of PDP. Don't let our party go down because of money. There is so much Nigeria needs from us today. We must show Nigerians that this is a born-again political party. This is a political party that has learned a lot of lessons from its past. So it's not about being threatened. I am lucky, I am fortunate to have friends, especially young people. I've had people donated as small, as little as 500 naira, some 2,000, some 3,000. So I'm working very hard. While we see a lot of our leaders going around, flying private jets and talking to people about consensus, I am talking to the people about the issues affecting Nigeria. I would love to see our leaders go around, go to Kaduna, go to Borno, go to all the places where we have crisis today and show empathy, sympathize with the people, provide solutions to our problems. Life does not begin and end with power. There are many people who are in power 20, 30, 40 years ago. A lot of them are still around. General Yakubu Gowon is still around. General Olusegun Obasanjo is still around. General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida is still around. General Absalami Abubakar is around. They are all around. But new people are now in power. What people are going to remember is what did you do with power, not how long you stayed in power. Some of those seeking to be president today have been permanently in power.
It then brings me to the point because you're speaking as though the race is now looking as if the ticket is for the highest bidder. Is that what you're trying to say? And if that is the case,
clearly,
for you to be able to contest amidst these heavyweights, it does mean one thing, that you also need your own war chest. Do you have a war chest? How do you hope to contest in the ring with all of these heavyweights?
No, I will not label such people as heavyweights. Having access to government money does not make you a heavyweight. A heavyweight is a man of accomplishment anywhere in the world. You will never see any country in the world where they will regard somebody whose visible means of income is not known, and they will call him heavyweight. In fact, as a matter of fact, I will implore our journalists to start distinguishing between the so-called heavyweights in terms of government money and heavyweights in terms of their sharp intellect. That is what Nigeria should do. We have too many problems today. If an heavyweight says, okay, I can buy all the super delegates, after buying them, he will need to now find money to buy 50 to 60 million Nigeria voters. Does that make any sense? So where do we go from that? That's why we're a laughing stock in the Committee of Nations. People look at us as very unserious human beings. How can you describe someone who has not managed any business successfully or managed people successfully, and then you say it's a heavyweight? Heavyweight based on what? So that is one of the reasons some of us supported Buhari when he was coming in 2015, because we thought that the level of corruption will go down. I mean, if you see the number of people who are still in power, the number of them who have come out now to say they want to contest, it tells you that the money is coming from somewhere. And we must ask where the money is coming from. I have never seen a country where you see so many governors, so many ministers, former vice president, current vice president, all vying for one position. The money must be somewhere, and we must find out where the money is coming from.
So you once said that you will rely on God to defeat the billionaires who are in the race. They're talking about consensus. Is the God factor in the concept of consensus, and how does that come to you? Do you feel disadvantaged when that kind of conversation comes up?
God has always made a way for me where there is none. In 1991, I wanted to start Ovation magazine. I went to different potential investors. I found one who was willing and ready. Unfortunately, by the time I told him I wanted to bring some colleagues of mine on board and I made promises to them, the big man pulled out. 1991, pulled out. And I couldn't find anybody to fund the project. And I gave up. I went into a different business. I started doing public relations. Do you know Ovation came back alive at the time I least expected? 6 years in London. And today, Ovation is 26 years old. Miraculously, we didn't have the money. We needed £150,000. We had only about 20,000. The banks, National Westminster Bank, told us they were not going to give us a loan because we had no record of doing business in the UK. But we had faith in God. Today, we're the #1 lifestyle magazine in Africa. I told you the experience of contesting in 2011 when my co-contestants were going from room to room doing whatever they were doing, and I gave only 2 copies of Ovation. I'm relying on God and my personal accomplishment. There is no country in the world that will ignore a Dele Momodu, a man who has operated in over 60 countries on 5 continents. There is none. Nigeria is the only place. Look, last week someone called me and said, oh, have you seen Governor Yaya? I said, yes. He said, oh, it seems the man has a big watch. I said, why not? He's a governor. Yaya was born the year I entered school start. 1975 was the year I entered Form 5. But once you are a governor in Nigeria, it's automatic. Once you are a minister, it's automatic. Once you are a Senate or Senate president, it's automatic. Once you are a former president or a former vice president, it's automatic. I am telling you that the God factor will come to play again. Nigerians will see the miracles of God, that it is not always about money. Number one, I can tell you, the billionaires are going to cancel themselves out. They are there in the north, they are here in the south, and they are fighting dirty. At the end of the day, go and check the history of Nigeria. A billionaire has never governed Nigeria with all the money. So with all the bravado, I am assuring you that God will intervene in the affairs of Nigeria, because we cannot continue like this.
Okay. Enough of what the race looks like. I mean, on this program, we've taken it upon ourselves to, so anyone who wants to vie for that office, we need to ask them, what do they really have to offer Nigerians? And that is the issue, isn't it? That we need people of character, people of quality, of capacity, beyond the rhetorics and some other issues relating to politicking. Let's talk about the real issues here, Chief Dele Momodu. Nigerians were facing different kind of challenges. And I've made it, as a point of duty to ask this one question to individuals like you. I want to know, in your own mind, what do you think is Nigeria's biggest problem? If you identified, what solution do you have for it?
For me, today, under the government of President Buhari, it's lack of unity. You need a unifier. When you talk about insecurity, when you talk about the manner Nigerians are so divided along ethnic and religious lines, is because you don't have a leader who seems to care much about those things. So that is why a Dele Momodu will be an instant unifier. Number one, I'm a child of diversity. My father is from Edo State, South-South. My mother from Osun State, Southwest. My grandparents were Muslims. My parents were Christians. My name is Momodu. My surname is Momodu, while my Christian name is Joseph. That's diversity at play and at work. So we need someone who is completely detribalized of all the aspirants without having private jets or helicopters. I've been to all the regions of Nigeria, reaching out to people. I've reached out to Sheikh Gumi in Kaduna. Some people told me not to go. I went. I've reached out to people in Maiduguri. I went in the market. They told me it's the most dangerous market in Nigeria. I've been to Enugu. I've been in Kwara. I've been everywhere. I've been in Kano, talking to people. I've reached out to the Nnamdi Kano people to find out how do we stop this suffering going on in the Southeast. We have some of the brightest people in the world, but due to lack of unity, lack of peace, nobody can function properly. So I'm doing that already. You don't have to wait to be president. That's why I'm worried that people are more interested in hijacking power for themselves than talking about the issues of Nigeria. This is what I have to offer. I'm humble enough. I'm not too big to go and talk to the high, to the low. I took my time, risked everything to go to Cotonou, to go and see Sunday Igboho. What is going on? Let's all come together. They are tired of Nigeria because they believe, oh, this is a Fulani. I said, no. The day you have a leader who respects every tribe and every religion in Nigeria, you will see that all the agitations will evaporate. Even Nnamdi Kanu said it last year, February, in a televised video. He said, if we have leaders with the mindset of a Dele Momodu, there will be no need for Biafra agitation. But unfortunately, the politicians are not addressing any of these issues. So that is one issue that must be addressed speedily, urgently, responsibly, and you can be sure we can now begin to talk about all the other problems, whether in the area of education, in the area of infrastructure, in the area of power, and so on and so forth.
A lot of the people that you say you're reaching out to, the young people of Nigeria, a lot of them have their eyes outside of this country. If they have any opportunity to leave this country, many of them don't want to return. There is a major crisis or a major problem of the national agenda and loyalty of Nigerians to their nation. And the issue of poverty is also adding to them wanting to stay back. A lot of our young doctors have found their way in Saudi Arabia, in Canada, and in England, practicing there. So the question is, if Dele Momodu becomes Nigeria's president, how would you make Nigeria attractive for Nigerians or young Nigerians to stay, and in fact, make it such attractive that those who have fled the country would return?
It's quite easy. Leadership is about trust. If you trust a leader, you will go to the end of the world for that leader. A leader must live by example. One of the things I find disturbing is that Nigerian leaders live as if every day is Christmas. And that's why I was complaining about people buying up tickets, buying up the voters. A leader who does that, he comes in and lives like an emperor. So Nigerians have virtually given up on everything. I was speaking to a pastor a few days ago. I saw him preaching about people getting their PVCs. I had to call him. I said, sir, who are they going to vote for with this PVC? So, with a Dele Momodu, you can guarantee that, one, I'm not going to need government money to enjoy the life I did not enjoy outside power. The way our people live, it's unfortunate. So a lot of people just say, oh, you can't change, let me go. So trust. And I tell you, I will be a hands-on leader. I said it before, there is no way I will be president of Nigeria with all the bright guys that I see in the southeast of Nigeria. They are comparable to the Japanese, the Chinese, the Indians, the Koreans. That will be a technological hub for Africa. You have natural talents wasting away, but we're wasting all our resources on servicing politicians. I'm one person who will be a technocrat in government and who will be able to identify the individual talents that are available in every part of Nigeria. And when I went to Maiduguri, I met a lady, Dr. Chilube, who has a PhD in chemistry. When she was telling me about the things she can do, but they are there. The politicians don't even know of their existence. So if eventually she gets frustrated, she will migrate abroad. I went to Kano. I met someone who is so good at doing confectionaries. And you cannot even walk into a bank and get a loan. You will never see any country in the world, all the places that these people are migrating to, what sustains their citizens is simple credit. So the SMEs in Nigeria don't have anywhere to go. So if they find any opportunity to go and wash, you see somebody with PhD is going to wash the floor abroad, it doesn't make sense. So we will identify, and we have done that in each area of the country, and make sure, look at the example of entertainment in Nigeria. Why can't we have an entertainment city? An average Nigerian today, if you're a musician, you want to shoot ordinary music video, you have to travel to South Africa or go to Ghana. We have everything right here. The problem is profligacy. We are wasting too much money on politicians. And until you have a leader who can stand up to them and say, no way, the money for the people must be spent on the people. And once they see that, they will be okay. So for me,
my final question to you, Chief Dele Momodu, tonight is on the stage for the party primary, the PDP party primary, whether or not that stage allows for evenness and balance and equity. The governor of Enugu State is asking for justice, equity, and fairness. And whether that exists or not is a big question. Your party appears to have gotten itself in a hot debate of zoning. The question is what the governors of the South were asking for, that it should be zoned to the South, whether or not that will be respected. And in that equation, where do you fall, and how much of equity, how much of fairness can we talk about in the scheme of things as far as your party primary is concerned? What is your biggest fear tonight on that issue of zoning, Mr. Momodu?
I am always very practical. I would love for power to shift to the South, especially after President Buhari leaves. It will be unfortunate that Buhari will spend 8 years and another northerner takes over. And there are too many problems already in the North. So let's shift power to the South so that we can look at things more dispassionately. Maybe part of the problem today is that it cannot be solved by people who were part of the problem. That is one. Number two is that for those northerners who are insisting that power must come to the North, I want to give them a very polite warning. We do not have today in PDP any aspirant half as popular as Muhammadu Buhari was in 2003, in 2011, and so on. Yet, on those two occasions, he was roundly and soundly defeated by Olusegun Obasanjo and subsequently by Dr. Goodluck Jonathan. So if they are insisting that, oh, the only way the PDP can win election is by sending it to the north again, my answer is a resounding no. We do not have any aspirant today with that capacity to win a general election like Buhari would have done, especially if you succeed in alienating the entire South. That is the truth. Buhari could not win until Southerners took over for him and supported him morally, financially, and otherwise. There is no way. So that is mine. Then, I agree with you. PDP, we have boxed ourselves into a corner by allowing everybody to buy forms. I think it will create more acrimony if after I purchased my form, I returned my form earlier today, you now tell me that I'm no longer qualified to contest election. That might lead to litigation. And I've warned about that. The day I bought my form, I warned about it. Politicians are going around, dancing around. There is nothing they can do. Atiku the other day said he must run. And so how do you stop such a man? He has enough clout. Yeah. If you can bully a Dele Momodu, I don't think you can bully some people. And I don't think a man like Ison Wike in Rivers could be easily bullied. So now, the way the two sides are boxing themselves may not augur well ultimately for our party. For me, I would just suggest let bygone be bygone. Let's all go and contest, and whosoever wins, so be it. But if you give it to the north, there'll be problem in the south. If you leave it in the south, you can see the determination of those who are going around in the north. I think, yeah.
Chief Dele Momodu, publisher of Ovation International and presidential aspirant on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, thank you so much tonight for your time, and I wish you the very best ahead of the race.
Thank you, Sheung. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, let's tell you that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has published the names of 15 candidates from the 15 political parties that will be on the ballot for the Osun governorship election. The incumbent Governor Boyega Oyetola is the APC candidate, while the PDP candidate in the last election, Senator Ademola Adeleke, is enlisted as a PDP flag bearer. And now, to other stories, the All Progressives Congress National Working Committee today sworn in Mr. Stephen Intokepo as the chairman of the APC in Akwa Ibom State. The event took place at the party secretariat in Abuja. However, this happened despite a court order asking parties to maintain status quo over the leadership contest and case adjourned to the 17th of next month. In that respect, Senator Akpan Uduadeye has written to the party leadership to stop the alleged impunity of inaugurating Nkuta Airport in the face of a subsisting court order. The race for the ticket of the APC ahead of the party primary is getting more intense. As soon as the vice president got into the race yesterday, he sent some kind of different mood in the atmosphere. And we're seeing close-knit consultations and jostling here and there for the party's ticket. Tonight, we shall take a look at some of the issues that have been thrown up. I'm being joined by a former federal lawmaker who himself also wanted to be governor of Rivers State, Senator Magnus Abe, a chieftain of the APC. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Sean. Glad to be here.
Do you foresee this intense horse trading in your party for the party's ticket?
Well, let me say this, Sean. You know, the presidency of a country as vibrant and as vital as the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it's never going to be a walk in the park for anybody. And I assume that all those who have indicated interest are aware of the fact that this is going to be a grueling contest in however you look at it. But I think that from the crop of those who have indicated interest, it is clear that everybody is well prepared and people have their strategies for getting across the finish line.
If we're talking about fairness, equity, and justice, like some people are talking about right now, what do you think is fair in the scheme of things?
I think for the All Progressives Congress, it is clear that our presidential candidate would be from the South, arising out of the decision taken before the convention that all the party offices that were in the South should move to the North, and those that were in the North should move to the South. So I think that presupposes that it would now be the same way for the political offices. So I believe that for the APC, the question of fairness, justice, equity, it is clear that after President Buhari, the next president of Nigeria should be from the South.
One would naturally imagine that if Rotimi Amechi is in the race, Magnus Abe might be on his side. That is a natural thing to think because you're from the same state. And I see that you were in the meeting with Bola Tinubu with the governors of the APC. It's obvious and evident that you are on Tinubu's side, isn't it?
Yes, I am on Tinubu's side. I had said before that for me, what is important for this country at this time is that we should be careful in the kind of leader that we throw up. Let us not be driven by sentiments to put ourselves in a box where we'll find ourselves difficult to operate. You know, if you look at the track record of those who have indicated interest, I was convinced that looking at what Asiwaju has done in Lagos and also looking at his contribution to democracy in this country and his contribution to the All Progressives Congress, it appears to me that he's a natural fit for the challenges of the time, and therefore I decided to pitch my tent with him.
I mean, we were speaking with Chief Dele Momodu there, and he was talking about the capacity of people to handle the affairs of this country. And I'd like to ask you why you think the man you're supporting is a fit in fixing the problems of Nigeria.
Well, first of all, you have to look at the experience of the person that we are looking at. You also have to look at the track record of the individuals that you're talking about. A lot has been said about Asiwaju's age, and let me say that some of the most impactful leaders of this century have been people who were quite advanced in age. If you look at China, for example, the miracle of modern China was initiated by Deng Xiaoping. At the time Deng became the leader of China, he was practically in his 80s. If you look at the recovery of modern America, the economic principle that is now touted as Reaganomics, it was initiated by Ronald Reagan, who was actually one of the oldest presidential candidates of his time. And if you look at the challenges that America faced after the Trump years, the Americans went for somebody with the experience, the capacity, the know-how to be able to navigate them into a better place. And they went for Joe Biden, who is actually one of the oldest presidential candidates that America has ever produced. So I think that in looking objectively at the track record of Asiwaju, you will find that, okay, take democracy, for example. This is a man who was a governor in the Alliance for Democracy. And at a point, he was the only governor left in the Alliance for Democracy in Lagos. From Lagos, because of the strategy he used in planning his elections at the time when the government of the day was openly manipulating elections. He planned the elections in such a way that he over-documented the election and was able to recover those states through the courts and rebuilt the party and formed the ACN. He is the first political leader in this country to not only dominate his region, but to now form an alliance that was able to now produce a federal administration and take down an existing federal government in this country. Those are not mean achievements for the lily-livered. So when you take that into consideration and look at where Lagos has been able to go economically compared to all the other states that started out approximately around the same level in 1999 economically, you'll see that he's a visionary, he leaps and bounds ahead in so many different ways. Yeah. And so for me, given the economic challenges that we're facing, the issues that are cropping up arising out of COVID-19, the war in Ukraine, and the general situation that we're facing in the country, I believe that what we need at this time is wisdom, experience, capacity, and somebody who understands the strategies of how to bring Nigerians together and get them to work together to achieve near impossible feats. And this is something that Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu has already done for this country.
Consensus is a very strong option for your party.
It is
and
not,
should it get to that point?
It is not in our constitution.
But it's now in the Electoral Act.
No, the Electoral Act cannot force a party to do something that is not in the constitution of the party. If you look at the constitution of our party, in picking our presidential candidate, consensus is not one of the options that are available to us.
But you know,
you can't,
again, because you're a lawyer, the constitution, your constitution came into being before the amendment of the Electoral Act. So the Electoral Act supersedes your party constitution.
No, that's not the way it works. The legislature will not make a constitution for the party. They have set aside the things that are legal in the electoral process. Now, from the options that are available, a political party will then choose the ones that you choose to do. You cannot choose what is outside the Electoral Act as a means of doing something that will be against the law. But you do not have to choose whatever is written in the Electoral Act.
So you think your party will not go for consensus?
It's against our constitution. We cannot.
But your party has used consensus in your national convention.
Yes.
Why do you think it will be different in the primaries?
Because the constitutional provision in the party as it relates to the presidential congress of the party specifically excludes consensus.
Have you seen your amended party constitution? Have you seen it?
I was at the
Which was amended at the convention.
I was at the convention.
Have you seen it?
I know that was not one of the amendments at the convention.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm very sure.
Okay, all right. We'll leave that because there is no time to debate that. But it's a possibility that your party agrees on a consensus. Should it not go in the favor of Tinubu demanding your support, what would you do?
No, Tinubu is a Democrat. First of all, like I said, the truth of the matter is that as long as we follow a procedure that is fair, transparent, open, and is able to ensure that every aspirant, not just Tinubu, every aspirant gets a fair kick in the game, I believe that whoever emerges from such a process will be acceptable to the broad majority of party members. So that is what is important to this party at this time. If you will recollect, Sean, in 2015, when the APC was formed, it was basically Buhari from the CPC and Tinubu from the ACN that came together to form the foundation of the APC. And at that time, they could have sat down to say, okay, consensus, Buhari will be our candidate. But they knew that given the challenges of the country at that time, that kind of arrangement will not carry the broad majority of the party members along. And they subjected that thing to a clear, transparent process that was hailed not just across this country, but across Africa. And that was what gave Nigerians so much confidence in the APC. So we cannot depart from that tradition.
I brought up the issue of consensus, which I know is a possibility for your party ahead of the primary. Should, for example, Rotimi Amechi becomes the consensus candidate of the party, would you work with him?
Like I've said, Sean, the truth of the matter is that the consensus option is not provided for in the Constitution. If the
possibility that, I mean, you are saying you have the grounds, but you are not the party. If your party decides to go consensus,
I'm not the party, but don't forget that I am a member of the party, and I'm one of those who took very active part in bringing this party to life. So I am telling you completely and categorically that if the APC is to enjoy the confidence of our members across this country, we must use a process that is transparent, fair, and inclusive, that will satisfy every aspirant, including Rotimi Amechi, that they had a fair kick at going through the process.
All right.
So when that is done, whoever emerges from that process, it will be easy for us to rally the broad majority of our members to support such a candidate and deliver victory to the party. And that is the way to go.
I assume Bola Tinubu was asking the governor to support him. Did they give him that confidence that they will?
I think that as a serious aspirant who is interested in leading this country, he understands that the governors are a critical sector and a critical stakeholders in the affairs of the All Progressives Congress. And he had a very, very good and interesting interaction.
What did he tell them?
Basically, he shared his vision as to the things that are possible and enlisted their support and all that. That is what a serious aspirant should be doing at this time. And I believe that that is what anybody who is serious about being president.
Did they give him any promise?
I am not a governor, so I cannot discuss what
you were privy to that meeting?
I was privy to the meeting, yes.
Did they give him any promise?
I am not a governor, and so I cannot speak on behalf of the governor.
So they didn't give him any promise?
After the meeting, Governor Bagudu, who is the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, came out and gave a very clear and exhaustive explanation of what that interaction looked like. And I think I will adopt his comments for the purposes of this conversation.
In 30 seconds, should Tinubu get the ticket of the party, does he have the capacity to win a general election?
I believe that not only does he have the capacity to win a general election, he is one of the few Nigerians that have the capacity to actually help this party deliver the general election at this point. So it is important that we have a process that is able to bring everybody's energies into it. And the last thing I'll say, Sean, when you made your introduction, you said I was somebody who was interested in running for the governorship of my state.
Are you still interested?
Let me say very clearly, Sean, that as far as the issues of Rivers State are concerned, every Rivers man has a say, and so do I. I'm consulting. And at the end of the process, which is very soon, I will make my decision known to Nigerians.
Senator Magnus Abe, a chieftain of the APC, a former federal lawmaker, thank you indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you,
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, that's our show for today. Many thanks, everyone, for watching. I'm sure Kimberly. Bye for now.